Dear audience, I have with me Madame or Miss Mariko Kagoshima. She's the representative of UNICEF to Ethiopia. To be precise, deputy representative. She has a very wide range of years of experience. She has worked before coming to Ethiopia in Jamaica, in Honduras, in Guatemala, and the list goes on, in Afghanistan as well, and in Mexico, in Mexico as well, Mexico. So Madam Mariko Kagoshima, thank you for coming to our show. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
It is my pleasure. Can you please then really tell us what brought you to Ethiopia and what do you do in Ethiopia?
Okay, so I work for UNICEF, United Nations Children's Fund, of the United Nations, of course. And I was given this opportunity to coming to Ethiopia to contribute to the very complex humanitarian situation, but then also Ethiopia has been developing so rapidly until a few years back. So we needed to have this both end of expertise. And as you kindly mentioned, I worked in the humanitarian situations like in Afghanistan, Angola, Uganda, but then I also worked in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Jamaica, which is more development focused. So when I was asked if you are interested in going to Ethiopia, well, first I wanted to go back to Africa, because I spent quite some time in Central and then Latin America. And second, this was a challenge that I really wanted to take because I knew that I would be able to contribute to the both end of the development course and the humanitarian course. So that's why I'm here since last October. And I'm very happy to be here.
Good to have you in Ethiopia, really.
Thank you.
Good to have you in Ethiopia. My next question was why Ethiopia, and you have already explained the reasons why. Ms. Mariko, under your portfolio as UNICEF Deputy Representative to Ethiopia, education, nutrition, social protection, healthcare, water and sanitation, etc., etc. They fall under your portfolio. How do you see the challenges of this in Ethiopia?
Okay, as you know, Ethiopia has making a tremendous progress up to 2020, and then we faced multiple overlapping crises that regressed, unfortunately, this progress. So first I would like to recognize the tremendous progress that has been made up to that point. But of course, as you know, we have lots of challenges. We know that approximately, well, first of all, we don't know exactly how many people we have here because the last census was
in 2007.
So we lots of things are, a guesstimate, and then the statistics are not really, we really have to make informed guesstimation. But for example, out of school children, we estimate between 7 to 9 million children are out of school. And then it's growing because of the past 2 years of difficult situation that Ethiopia has gone through. So this is a key challenges that we have. And then of course, as you know, that malnutrition is a major challenge. We have lots of acute malnutrition, severe acute malnutrition situation. We have very high level of stunting, the children who are short for their age. Approximately 37% of children are short for their age. And that means that they don't look absolutely malnourished, but then their brain development is affected. So they have lifelong consequences of that. So we are extremely concerned about that one. And also the mothers health status is very important.
Yeah.
So mothers and the breastfeeding mothers in Ethiopia, nearly 2 million pregnant and breastfeeding mothers are malnourished.
Wow.
So when mothers are malnourished, children are born underweight,
True.
and then they are more likely to be malnourished.
True.
They are more likely to get ill.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
Absolutely.
zero dose is another one. 1.1 million children in Ethiopia, under 5, they have never received immunization, none.
Wow.
Polio, measles, tetanus, none.
The 6.
So,
the 6.
yes,
Yeah.
1.1 million children. So for us, it is really important to prevent children. Together with the Ministry of Health, we are working very hard to find those children and then get them immunized, because it is risk for them. But then also risk for the society, because we might have any time polio outbreak or measles outbreak. So we are concerned about those. Of course, safe drinking water, access to safe drinking water is an issue. About 45 million people don't have access to safe drinking water in Ethiopia, and about 22 million people practice open defecation. That is a huge amount of people, and then we are trying to address those issues by establishing water points or water system, sustainable water system, and then trying to change behaviors by advocating more hygienious public hygiene, etc., etc. So, you know, we are doing multiple things, and we have lots of challenges, but then we have hope, because I think Ethiopian institutions are very strong. And then that is critical for any emergencies to bounce back. I have seen other countries during the COVID, when the system is there, the government has a system in place, they bounce back quicker. And then I worked closely with Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Women and Social Affairs, and their institution is strong. So we hope to continue working with those government institutions to support and then to contribute to bounce back stronger in Ethiopia.
Great points, Ms. Mariko. Just a couple of days ago, we had International Women's Day, March 8th. Today is the March 10th. And you, as a good woman, you know, with educated woman, assuming this important position, how do you see yourself working in Ethiopia as a woman? And how do you see the status of women in Ethiopia from your observation?
You know, I was always amazed, and I am always amazed, continue to be amazed, with the resilience of Ethiopian women, and Ethiopian people in general, but resilience and kindness. Ethiopian people are so kind. Despite all the difficulties that they are going through, they remain kind. I'm always amazed with the drive to improve all the time. I'm amazed with innovation. They are very open to the new ideas and the entrepreneurship. So I am always learning a lot from the Ethiopian women, particularly my colleagues at work.
I see.
The challenges that I think Ethiopian women has. First of all, I have to say that Ethiopia is not doing so bad. You know, I was studying, compared to other countries. I was, well, in some areas, no? I was studying the Japanese status of the Gender Development Index, and then Ethiopia, and actually Ethiopia is higher. And
interesting.
Particularly in the sense of political empowerment of the women. You know, when you see the government, there are lots of female-led ministries, and then of course
from the cabinet level.
So those are the things that we can learn, you know, as a Japanese from Ethiopia.
Very true.
One thing that I really want to emphasize today as a part of International Women's Day is about child marriage. You know, in Ethiopia, like many other countries, but then child marriage is a critical issue. And then child marriage is a violation of the girls' rights, and then it should be addressed accordingly. In Ethiopia, in the world, there are approximately 650 million young girls who are married. But in Ethiopia, Ethiopia is a home of 18 million girls, girl brides, 18 million.
Young child brides,
Child bride. And then 8.1 million girls among them are under 15 years of age.
Wow.
So those girls are more likely not to finish school, more likely to be exposed to exploitation, abuse at home, more likely to accept violence at home, more likely to have poor health consequences, and then their children are more likely not to be able to be receiving sufficient attention. And then it is loss for the society and the loss as a human beings of that women. So I think the girls' marriage issue, which affect 4 in every 10 girls, I think should be given spotlight. You know, the last year, as a result of drought incidents, the girls' marriage has increased 131%.
Wow.
In the regions where drought has been recorded. The Somalia, Far, Oromia, SNMP, 131%.
Wow.
And then when you talk to those girls, their story is haunting, you know. The parents have to let her go because they cannot afford to feed extra mouth, right? And then they don't have anything to feed the rest of the family. So one girl called Enat, she's 13, she was married off to a man 17 years older than her. She cried, she begged, she protested, but then she had to go. And then for what? For a few cattle. With what? With that, family bought shogun, family bought some maize to feed the rest of the family. It is a pure survival mechanism. And then current crisis is putting many girls back into those situations. And then I hope that we will be able to get, you know, to talk about it. Government has done a lot. They have a plan. And then that is 50 million US dollars plan to end marriage and the FGM. And then I'm sure that if we work together, and then if we keep remembering those girls who got married off and then their dream has been taken away from them, I'm sure we can change the life course of those girls.
Absolutely, Ms. Marik, absolutely. You remind me of even, you know, it's a matter of culture, but the law has been in place. You know, the minimum marriage age for boys and girls has been set even constitutionally, and by each regional states like Tigray and also Amhara state, where it is most prevalent as well. But the culture is pulling, and then in addition, when there is social crisis, as you have given the young girls, you know, her story, that will complicate the whole issue. But compared, I'm sure that research will be made comparing the 2020s to the 1970s and 80s, and maybe see
improving.
It's improving in that sense.
But then the recent conflict really pushed the girls to the limit.
Ms. Mariko Kagoshima, I wish we had more time, and I wish I would have you in my program.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I would have, you are my pleasure. Hope to have you in another program, and I wish you a good stay in Ethiopia.
Thank you.
And I hope by the time your term finishes, you will make your mark for the UNICEF office along with your colleagues in Ethiopia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for accepting our interview.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Ms. Marika Kagoshima, the Deputy Representative of UNICEF to Ethiopia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, dear audience, ladies and gentlemen, I have with me Ms. Ura Kaori. She's the head of programs of the World Food Program. Ms. Ura, welcome to our program.
Thank you so
for
much.
accepting to be interviewed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ura, can you please tell us what brought you here to Ethiopia?
So basically I was working for World Food Program for the past 10 years, and I was in Lebanon supporting the Syrian refugees as head of program as well.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed the work there. Because head of program is a kind of a position where you can oversee many different activities we implement from the beginning to the end, from the assessment, planning, implementation and monitoring, connecting different activities, looking at the synergies, looking strategically how to move the assistance forward. So I really wanted to look for other opportunities with the same profile, but in a bigger scale. And actually Ethiopia, actually WFP operation is quite sizable. I think one of the biggest actually operations in the world.
In the world?
Yes.
Wow.
So it has many different activities which also brought my attention, and and I was really interested in progressing my career, but at the same time serving the population, vulnerable population as well.
Thank you. You know, when I reviewed your resume, which is quite impressive, Ms. Ura, you have been to South Africa, you have worked, not been, worked, you know, to Senegal, and also to Mozambique, to Guinea-Bissau, and you had a wide range of the African experience.
Yes.
All these countries that I cited are developing countries like Ethiopia. When you came and worked in Ethiopia, any big challenge? Did you face any big challenge? Are the issues and problems similar? I think they are similar. Or in what way is Ethiopia very, very different in regard to your work?
Yes, I came in actually 2 years ago, right when the Tigray conflict started. So that really certainly brought a lot of challenges, meaning we have to start a new operation in northern Ethiopia, supporting the vulnerable food insecure population. And at the same time, there's also drought in the south.
True.
And then at the same time, WFP does work, both the humanitarian work, but also the development work, meaning we give more solutions, long-term lasting solutions to the food insecurity of the country. So while we have to juggle with the humanitarian work, which requires always the rapid response and attention, but at the same time, we shouldn't lose the sight on the development work as well, which also requires a lot of thinking and strategic engagements. So that balancing the two has always been really challenging.
Very true.
Yeah.
And food means food security. The most basic thing is water and food for human beings.
Yes.
If that equilibrium equation fails, then even it affects the security of the country or the region itself. And so many countries are grappling with these kinds of lack of security that comes with lack of food.
Yes.
So people have to survive. Very interesting. Now, let me take you to, you came to Ethiopia. You have met so many Ethiopian women and young girls. And a couple of days ago, we had March 8th, International Women's Day. Is it a challenge to come to Ethiopia as a woman and as head of the program of WFP, being a woman in Ethiopia?
I don't think it's particularly in Ethiopia, but in general, as a being woman and in this position, of course, there's always the struggle of balancing between the professional work and also the personal work. I am with my husband and two children, 2 daughters. And so it cannot be like 24 hours attention to professional work. But I also have to pay attention to the well-being of the children. So that's a difficult one. I think everyone struggles, and it's not just me, but everyone, including Ethiopian women, I believe. So yeah, that has been challenge, but at the same time, it's a good one because otherwise, you cannot just continue working and without rest. By having a family, we can have the balance and be able to rest a bit, be brought to where I belong to, and then come back refreshed to professional life. So it's really important balance.
Great. And the issue of food scarcity, security issue, as already discussed, it's a top priority, matter of survival. When you look at Ethiopia, there are so many government incentives like irrigation fed rather than rain fed for wheat production, 2-3 harvests in a year, things like that. And Ethiopia has made, evidence shows Ethiopia has made progress. Do you think that someday down the line, in the coming decades or so, Ethiopia will be food sufficient and maybe export food?
Yes, I think so, certainly. I mean, if you look at the production, it is increasing.
Yeah.
And also thanks to the investment that's been made by the government for irrigation schemes. So it is almost there, actually, when you look at the statistics. What prevents to reach that stage is, of course, the conflict was negatively impacting certainly the development, because there was quite a bit of gain made in like Tigray and northern Ethiopia regions that has been destroyed, and then we have to now restart again. So certainly I hope there is going to be peace. And another challenge, of course, is the climate change and the drought, which continues to hit really hard in the pastoralist area.
True.
But if the right investments are made also in those areas, it is possible. There are rivers, there are irrigation schemes. Actually, WFP has invested quite a bit in certain locations, southern part of Somali region, where we were able to basically put the water pumping from the river and organize the cooperatives. They are now producing, they're even selling, creating linkages to the market. They're now self-sufficient. So it is possible, even though it's a dry land, there are rivers, we can make use of water. Is really the source of their life. As long as we can make use of that, we certainly can achieve food sufficiency in this country.
Very wise words. Ms. Ura Kaori, I wish we had more time, because you have to move on. I wish to have you in another time with another interview. But for now, really, thank you for sharing your thoughts about what you do and who you are and what you do in Ethiopia. Thank you for helping in Ethiopian, as an Ethiopian American. Thank you so much. That was, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Ura Kaori. She was one of the panelists in this evening. She's the head of programs of WFP, and we wish you all the best and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me Ms. Matskuma Mai. Thank you, Ms. Mai, for accepting to make this short interview.
Thank you.
You are my pleasure. You are the program coordinator.
Yes.
For the Good Neighbors Japan.
Yeah.
What brought you to Ethiopia, and what is the Good Neighbors Japan?
So Good Neighbors Japan has a mission to make the world without hunger, and also we are supporting children.
Okay.
And when we have the project with the Japanese fund, and we are supporting the emergency food assistance, and also health and also education support. And also we have now livelihood support is our strength. Now we just started the promotion of social cohesion, like peace building, and also the livelihood of the refugees and host communities in Asosa and Benishangul Gumuz.
Okay.
And also we will start a similar project in the field of livelihood and also peace building in the Gedeo and West Guji area. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So we basically focus on emergency support, like food, health, education, emergency conflict affected areas, IDPs. And also we are supporting livelihood because it's very important for the sustainable development and also like self-reliant for the IDPs and people in need. And also the peace. I think peace is very
important,
critical.
Very important. You have, when I looked at your resume, you have served as a program analyst,
Yes. UNDP
conflict prevention and social cohesion, UNDP Tunisia, in the Maghreb, and etc., and Cote d'Ivoire in West Africa, Ivory Coast, and also the Carter Center in the USA, in Georgia, the Peach State of Georgia.
Yes.
When you look at Ethiopia as a developing country, in view of the the goals and objectives of Good Neighbors. How far have you made progress? And when did you start, and how far have you made progress?
Yeah, so we actually, Good Neighbors Japan, when we implement a project, we are partnership with a local NGO called Good Neighbors Ethiopia.
Okay.
And Good Neighbors Ethiopia itself has many projects now. Okay. We have community development projects. We have 7 areas now. We are in 3 areas, Lideta, Yeka, Gurele, community development projects there, and also Sidama, and also Alsi region, Oromia. Okay. And also we are in Kebena, like Gurage area.
Yes.
And also we have, recently we opened the 7th community development project area in Angora Datela, North Shewa Amhara region.
Yeah.
So we are now expanding so far, expanding in general. And we have Koika, Korea funded projects as well in the climate change in Alsi. And we also have, nowadays, we have many projects with the fund of Japanese government.
Okay.
So far, I think in terms of the progress, but I mean, there's so many people are still in need.
Yeah.
And even the IDPs in the Amhara region, they're increasing a lot.
Yeah.
So even though we are supporting food there, and also we are supporting nutrition for the children and pregnant and lactating women.
Yeah.
But what we are doing is, unfortunately, is not enough.
Okay.
So we actually progressing, of course. We are supporting a lot, but at the same time, it's not enough.
Okay. What's the response of this community people?
So they're very appreciated our support, but they also their need is more like various. Like even though, for example, we are now distributing food in IDP's height in North Shewa, but like they need food, of course, but they also need some other non-food item. They need soaps. They have many children. So many children are there. But the mothers are difficult to get the soap to keep the good hygiene of their children. And also like there are so many kids, but there are no school. And then some IDPs, they stay like long time, and the children, they don't get any schools. So there are so many needs.
Wow, very, very true. You have been to Ethiopia in 2020, but I heard you interacting with people this evening, and I followed with great interest your panel presentation.
Thank you.
You speak words of Amharic already.
Tinish.
Okay.
Tinish.
Very good, very good. That shows us to what extent you are interested. Now, my last question would be, you come to Ethiopia, it's a developing country. There are so many challenges, among them is gender. As a woman, coming to Ethiopia, heading this important organization, Good Neighbors, and being a woman, is it more a burden, an extra burden, a challenge for you? Or have you faced no challenges?
I mean, of course, I face many challenges, but I feel more like, kind of like, I have so much passion to this job. So I was like, I'm happy actually to commit to these activities. So even though it's challenging, there's so many things I learned from this. So I'm actually very happy to be here.
Yeah. Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. Miss Mai, that was a short interview.
Okay.
And as part of this wonderful evening that we had. Thank you for all what you do to Ethiopian people, to Ethiopians, and hope to see you in another interview, hopefully in Amharic, or a mix of both in due course. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was my brief interview with Miss Mai, and we wish her well. And she is the program coordinator of Good Neighbors Japan, which are operating in Ethiopia. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me Dr. Nonokagi Akio. Dr. Akio, thank you for accepting our request to interview you. She is none other than the humanitarian response program analyst for the UNFPA in Ethiopia. Briefly, could you please tell us about yourself and what you are doing here in Ethiopia?
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Dr Nonokagi. I'm working as a humanitarian response program analyst at the United Nations Population Fund, Ethiopia country office since October 2020. And I came here so October 2020, and the initial 2 years, I was working as a sexual and reproductive health program officer in the context of COVID-19 to respond to the pandemic and mitigate the negative impact on vulnerables, especially women and girls. And during 2 years, I pursued my career. How can I save people's lives in this country? Because this country faces several challenges, such as natural disasters, humanitarian emergency situation, and also pandemics. And during 2 years, I decided to change my career into humanitarian response team. And currently, I manage the humanitarian response project, and especially in the 2 regions, Amhara and Benishangul regions, which is funded by Japanese government. And my background is health. I was working as a registered nurse and a public health nurse for over 10 years in Japan. That was my first career. And after that, I worked with the Japan International Cooperation Agency, namely JICA, as a consultant. And that was in Ghana and focused on health. And then I came here to respond to the COVID and also humanitarian emergency needs.
Wonderful. Thank you for explaining to us. Now, what are the challenges of working in Ethiopia?
The biggest challenge was rapidly changing emergency situation in these countries. Initially, my challenge was to understand national guidelines, policies, and also cultural behaviors. And however, during my learning, the situation has been changing.
I see.
Yes, that was so. But my role is to implement the project based on their needs in a timely manner. So that was a challenge.
Wonderful. You focus also on RH, that's reproductive health, and now we call it SRH, sexual and reproductive health. From your investigation, from your finding as an analyst, as a program analyst, is it improving in Ethiopia? Even focusing on the 2 regions and also throughout Ethiopia?
Yes, I definitely think so. Yeah, through the project, I have some opportunities to meet people living in the community, including host communities, also internally displaced persons. And I was so happy and surprised that the community people, they're much interested in our intervention. Including men and women.
That's good.
And yes, there are several issues that we need to solve, like supply side, also demand side. So we need to. So the long intervention is essential, as well as the short-term interventions. But I definitely think that things improve little by little.
Great. Great. An honest question I would like to ask you. How far from your findings, observations, you have been here for a short while, have you found husbands, fathers supportive of their wives as well as their grown-up daughters in regard to RH and SRH as well?
Yes, actually I haven't met such a woman directly, but I know some stories in the past. Like one of our intervention is community conversation. During that session, women and men share their past experience including gender-based violences and other harmful practices. So I know it's existed. Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Being a woman in Japan, being a woman in Ghana where you were, being a woman in South Africa, being a woman in Ethiopia, being a woman in Kenya, and now you are working this important work of UNFPA as a program analyst here in Ethiopia. You know, while undertaking your job, you are a woman, and being a woman, is it a challenge for you?
Yes, I think sometimes.
Or is it good? It might be good, by the way. Being a woman might be good sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's half and half.
50-50.
Yes, I have some advantages so yes, I am a woman, and I also have some challenges, even in my countries. I have some experience, and that's why, for me, sometimes it's easy to understand what's their challenges that Ethiopian women faces now here. Sometimes there are situations, some things we can find some similarities. That's why I can understand their challenges partly. On the other hand, yes, maybe it's not only in my work, but like during my private time, you might maybe easier to be a target in terms of the security.
Yes.
That might be a disadvantage.
Yeah, very true. I hope you'll have a great stay in Ethiopia with, of course, success we wish you in your work. And, of course, this will give you an opportunity to move around Ethiopia. Have you literally moved around in Ethiopia already? In Benishangul Gumuz, and I believe...
I couldn't get any chance to visit. We planned, but due to the volatile situation, we couldn't. True. But in Amhara region, I visited several times.
Very good. Wish you success once again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
It was my pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Akio from the UNFPA Ethiopia. She's the Humanitarian Response Program Analyst for UNFPA, and she's with us in Ethiopia. I wish you all the best. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of having with me Her Excellency Ambassador Ito Takako, the Ambassador of Japan to Ethiopia. Thank you for accepting, Madam Ambassador, my request to interview you on short notice.
With my pleasure. Thank you very much for coming here today.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in the official residence of Japan. It's quite impressive, beautiful, with lots of grace. If we could start off, Madam Ambassador, what is this decoration? If you could share with us, with the audience.
Thank you very much. This is called Hina-do. It's a traditional Japanese doll installation toward March 3rd. In Japan, March 3rd is called Girls' Day.
I see.
And May 5th is Boys' Day. But for the Girls' Day, we have this kind of beautiful sets of the dolls to be displayed. And the top floor is supposed to be the imperial couple. The royal couple wedding.
Couple. Oh, okay.
Yes. And the second is the ladies in waiting.
Okay.
The third one is a court musicians.
Okay. Wow.
And the fourth one is the ministers, the politicians.
Wow.
And the fifth one, they're carrying lots of things for the prince and the princess. So this is coming from originally the Heian period over 1,000 years ago, but it is the tradition of a Japanese family who have girls will decorate this Hina dolls with a wish that their daughter would also have a happy wedding.
I see.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you for it. It looks beautiful, gorgeous. Thank you for explaining that. Ambassador, I want to ask you why you wanted to organize this. The title says, I need to read it to my audience, how we work with and for, how we work with the vulnerable people in Ethiopia and how we work for the vulnerable people in Ethiopia. This is the title that you and your teams, Your Excellency, chose. What's your goal and objective for organizing tonight's event under this topic?
Yes, actually this is our contribution this year for International Women's Day.
I see.
The panelists I invited are all Japanese women working in Ethiopia, either for the UN agencies or the international organization, NGO, and helping the Ethiopian vulnerable people in one way or another. They are coming from all the way from Japan to work. And actually, for the last 2 years or so, it was not an easy place to work. Nevertheless, I know those people are enjoying their work, respected by their colleagues. So I wanted to introduce how those Japanese ladies are working here and working with the Ethiopian people or people here in Ethiopia to help the less blessed people. And then also we can think together what would be the important things to join our hands, especially among the women to help other women and girls at the time of International Women's Day.
Wonderful. Thank you. You know, there were lots of excitement. 4 presenters were here, 4 panelists. And your role was not only an ambassador, your role was a moderator today. That's double. You have an extra duty to do. And in the discussions that we had, so many issues were raised about nutrition, mother and child nutrition, water, sanitation, food security, you know, all kinds of projects that Japan is involved in Ethiopia. And the 4 ladies, which are all professionals, which I had the honor also to briefly interview, Your Excellency. They work, one works for UNICEF, another one was for World Food Program, UNFPA, etc., etc. You know, and what I would like you to, when I ask you this, what I want the audience to know is, it seems Japan is engaged in the Ethiopian society. If you could like to comment on that.
Yes, we are. And no, from Ms. Kagoshima, the deputy representative of UNICEF, is maybe the highest ranking Japanese international civil servants in Ethiopia right now. Up to then interns in various agencies, UNESCO ICBA or UNICEF. We have quite maybe a couple dozen almost of Japanese people who are working in Ethiopia. Some are working for the UN-related agencies, others are working in international NGOs. But they are here to help the people in Ethiopia because they would like to do it. And despite the difficult living conditions, sometimes they have their family to take care, but nevertheless, they are happy and so eager to continue to work. And I wanted to introduce those beautiful and wonderful Japanese ladies to the people in Ethiopia and also my colleagues in Addis Ababa.
Yeah, very true. And what's also fascinating is they related to us their family life and personal life, and also what it means to be a woman, whether in Ethiopia or in Japan.
Right.
What is being a mom or a mother as well, and that was on top of their professional work. Lastly, let me give you the one last word, and that is, you know, Japan has this very strong international JICA. If you could say a few words about JICA and its involvement in Africa, broader sense, and also in Ethiopia, its activities.
Yes, JICA has been working for over 50 years, and this year actually is the 30th anniversary of the JICA office in Ethiopia being established in full scale. And then we are hoping that we can continue to expand the scope and the amount of the work in Ethiopia through JICA's cooperation. Of course, there is a kind of a limitation of the budget because several things are happening in the world. War in Ukraine, the big earthquake in Syria and Turkey, and the drought in Horn of Africa, droughts or the floods everywhere in the world. And Japan tends to provide the emergency humanitarian assistance for those areas. Now we have to compete for the limited budget of our own.
Very honest.
But
True.
Nevertheless, one of the strengths we have through JICA is our investment in people and also the quality of our assistance. This year, in a couple of months, we're expecting this TICAD, Human Resource Development Center, to be completed and launched in Addis Ababa. This is a new building that we are which is under construction now, and it is in Addis Ababa, and that is supposed to be teaching this Japanese idea of Kaizen. To the people, not only from Ethiopia, but also from people all over Africa. They can stay there and have lectures, and then they would live together and learn together about this Kaizen. So Kaizen would be a very, very important aspect for the further development. I know there are many companies in Ethiopia by introducing Kaizen. They introduce the production, they increase the type of products they produce, and as a result, they have a bigger market share or more profit. And these are things that the Kaizen can bring in. And also, we will have more people trained in Japan in various areas of administration, agriculture, infrastructure, communication, education, by helping those people to learn so that they can utilize their knowledge in Ethiopia. And the philosophy is not to give the fish when you're hungry. We'll give them how to fish so that even after we leave, they know how to maintain themselves. That is a Japanese philosophy.
Very true. Very true. Wise words. Thank you, Madam. And now the last word will be, again, my question is, we just celebrated 2 days ago International Women's Year, March 8th, and I'm sure, and it's celebrated in Japan as well. And would you like to say any words? Do you have any words for the Ethiopian, girls, women, wives, grandmothers, sisters, and aunts?
Yes. Well, I'm also a woman. So to my sisters and daughters or those friends in Ethiopia, I'd like to share that women are strong and you are not alone. We have a whole world who will strive for the better future for women and girls. And today also I saw with those 4 ladies and other guests who come here, we are strong. We may be quiet, but we may also have to speak out a little bit louder maybe. But we will continue to fight and increase our position because it is good for the society as a whole. The population, half of the population in any country is women. And by utilizing this half of the human resources, you can have a better society. Of course, we have to have a harmonious society, which is, in a sense, Japanese are very good at. We don't really want to fight all the time. How to accommodate the difference and how to be harmonious and how to make everything so acceptable to everyone is our idea. Of course, sometimes you do have to fight. But we'll fight together in a quiet way, but in a strong step forward for all the women in Ethiopia and for the world.
Wise advice to all of us, even the men, I would say, even for us men, as to how things should be. Respect, equality, respect, and help each other. We live in the same world and the like. Madam, Your Excellency, Madam Ambassador, Ito Takako, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your presence here.
Thank you. My
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was none other than Her Excellency Madame Ito Takako. She's the ambassador of Japan to Ethiopia. With that, I'll wrap up tonight's program. That was Diplomatic Corner, Now Television. Please keep on watching Now TV. It's me, Professor Brook Hailubesha, producer and director of Diplomatic Corner. Until I see you next time, if you have comments and questions, please keep on sending to our address. See you soon with another high-profile guest. Until then, I take leave of you from the premises and the residence of the Kingdom of Japan to Ethiopia. Thank you.